Rev up your engines! Okay, a lot of people say to me, you know, I'd love to have a Lexus, but they're too expensive. Well, go for a used one like this guy did. 10 grand with 40,000 miles on it. He said I didn't even barter, he just gave the money to the people. There are a lot of older people that don't drive that much. So, you find something like this. Now, today, that's a phenomenal deal. Right? Back in the day, I got my wife's for 3 grand with 60,000 miles. This had 40,000 miles. But for 10 grand these days money, when you figure out how many years ago that was, it's probably about the same exact deal. An insane deal, right? And he wasn't even looking for a sedan, but he found this and he picked it out. Now, you know, that was a little time ago. He's put a few miles on it, but you can see it's in immaculate shape, just like my wife's. And the main reason for that is these things were made in Japan. Open it up. There it is, Jay. Made in Japan. Even the rims are still in good shape. Of course, you get a little scratch. My wife does too, because they don't stick out the tires too far. And you'll hit curbs occasionally with it. But check it out. They may be scraped, but they're not leaking. Interior's still beautiful. Yeah, you get a little cracking on the leather. You can re-dye that if you want. The wood trim's still good, the dash is good. It's not a sticky dash because this is a 2010. They didn't have that problem in those days. And I know the back seats are going to be in excellent shape. They're not even wrinkled because old people owned this before, and I'm sure nobody was in the back seat. Sometimes, oh, you'll see dogs. So look to see if there's any claw, scratch marks or anything. Like my wife's Lexus, it's got the cool secret department. Reminds you when as a kid, they used to have ice cream trucks. They'd open, they'd grab you the ice cream. Look under the hood, we got that V6 engine that can run forever. Yes, it's before they started throwing turbo force and destroying the rideability of these cars. Smoothness, yeah, they're not gas-saving cars. They're not bad. You'll get in the 20s on the highway, you know. If you drive like a maniac in town, you'll get in the teens, but hey, they're smooth cars. Most people are just driving these things around. They're not racing them. And if we bother taking it all apart, but I'm not going to, you'll find that practically every single part on this car is original equipment. They really don't wear out. And you can see he's got the nice original headlights. Now I put these on my wife's because hers was older. Hers is a 2002, this is a 2010, and I like these better. And they just bolt on and off. Now the only hassle is, to do that, you gotta take the skin off the front bumper and pull it down. It's actually not all that hard to do, but you do have to remove this to get to all the access points. But this is the original, and you can see how Lexus makes their stuff? You know, this thing is 15 years old. I see 5-year-old Toyotas now that these things are fading because they don't even make the plastic as well as they used to. And as we get inside, we're looking around. It does have a keyless remote. I'm not a fan of that, but hey, it's a Lexus. They hardly ever break. Starts right up. Navigation map. I mean, really, everybody uses their phone. You can see he's got a navigation map on. He has navigation on his phone, so yeah, got the obligatory sunroof. They always have that stuff on them. But I mean, all kinds of room in a glove box. Nice dual level armrest. The leather seats are in excellent shape. The original Lexus mats. This, of course, was an old person's car. I probably garaged it all the time. As we pop the trunk, big old trunk. Hello in there. You got all kinds of room for storing stuff. And look, the interior is still in excellent shape. I mean, these things are solid made. I mean, you can tell when you shut the trunk. Listen to that. Oh, here we go. The big maxi says hotel. You can see it's already detected the vehicle. So we know it's a Lexus. It's kind of obvious. Standalone diagnosis. Read the VIN already. Now it's 2010, so it's older, but it should get quite a bit of information. So we have an ES350 North America, 2010, 2GRFE 6-cylinder engine. And now it's thinking. And while it's thinking, let's check out the mapping system it came with. You can see nothing compared to the modern ones. Rather basic looking thing. That's why he's using his phone. But as you can see, it's going to do a full topology scan. So here we go. We're going away. Wood's still in good shape. Seat's still in good shape. The compass still works. Now it's coming up with some squirrely codes. We'll see what they all are. I'm sure some of them have to do with the batteries not working in the TPMS. So it's found 14 things, but they all seem to be a little squirrely things. One is a GPS, which we probably don't even care about, because as I said, he's got a navigation system right here on his phone that works better. We'll see what the codes are. Maltuner, media fault, USB device fault. We don't care. We'll just get rid of them. So those are gone. Now he's got another code for the telematics. All that, let's see what that does. Probably another squirrely code. Seat restraining communication error. Oh, maybe it didn't weigh somebody right at one point in time. Who knows? We'll erase that too. Well, we'll do the TPMS now, like I say. Probably one of the batteries is dead out of the 4 that are in the car. Data from ID4, so, you know, the battery's gone. We'll erase it, but of course that'll come back because the battery it's probably dead. All right, there's some more codes here. We'll see what squirrely ones they are. Adaptive front lighting. Okay, now that's something that often wears out on these. The way this car goes is they're supposed to, as you turn wheels, follow you and stuff. I mean, it still follows them, but it's got codes for lever controls, headlights, swivel motor, but he said the stuff's still working as he takes a corner, so who cares about that? Let's see, there's 2 more sets. The main body. Probably some squirrely thing that we've already seen with telematics. Lost communication with air conditioner and mirror computer or meter computer. Oh, who cares? Does the computer really need to talk to the mirror? People have gotten carried away here. The main communication, the ECM. Let's see what those codes are. Here we go. And engine stall and startability, rough idling. Okay. No, he doesn't have any complaints. Of course, this is a keyless ignition system. Often these batteries get weak, or who knows what reason. Sometimes somebody tries to start the car, but they didn't bring the key. You know, it's not going to start the car, right? So it trips the startability fault. So yet another thing to erase. None of these things really mean anything. Let's start her up. Now comes the fun. Now we'll look at the ECM and we'll look at all the data. And here comes the live data. Alrighty, we'll put it in gear and we'll get more accurate data. This airflow sensor stable. Battery voltage is good. We're in closed loop. Okay, now here's the air fuel ratio sensor. Makes the car run perfect as possible. And look, it's minus 0.03, 0.02, right? That means it is only 2/100% off. This thing isn't even broken in yet. It's only got 49,644 miles on it. This is why you want to buy a car from an old man who's had it sitting in the garage a while. Let me tell you. Now, over time, some cars have a tendency of falling apart from old age. Fords, Chryslers, right? They can fall apart just sitting. You could probably park a Toyota for 10 years, and if you put another battery in, it would probably start right up. So let's look at some more data. Catalytic temperature. Look, the catalysts follow each other right, and the front one's hotter than the back one, which is what it's supposed to be. But like I said, this thing has so little miles on it. It's not even really broken in yet. You can see there's no red anything. Here's the transmission data. Temperature's good, and as we go through, there is no red data. Everything looks to be in great shape. Variable valve time is good. Of course, there's no misfires. These things don't really misfire. Never had catalyst cut cylinder fuel off because of misfire, because it doesn't misfire. It's insane. So let's take first spin. Oh, the car, but look how crisp the screen is. The pixels are great on this thing, as old as it is. So here we go. And now, almost everything on this is still original. You can see he's not doing bad on the trip. He got 24.1 miles a gallon. And even in these horrible Rhode Island roads, this thing still rides smooth. Now, it's still got the original struts on all 4. But then again, they only have 49,000 miles on it, even though they're 15 years old. It's the mileage that wears out the struts. And of course, it's extremely quiet inside too. It's so quiet, the turn signal sounds loud. And there's always traffic here too, it's annoying. We might have room soon. Yes, we do. And here we go. We'll give it a little gas and... Gee, it's a lot faster than my wife's Lexus. Cause hers is only at 3,200. This is the 3500. It's got a little bit fancier transmission, a little bit bigger engine, and it still goes like stick. Now, if you're the type of person that says, I have to have an SUV, let me tell you, road test one of these, you might change your mind. These are much more fun to drive. They have a much smoother ride. Plus, they're still a sedan, so they get decent gas mileage, unlike the SUVs, which are generally much worse gas mileage because they're higher up in the air. And this being the V6, probably the best engine they ever made. It's not one of those horrible four cylinders that doesn't do anything and all of a sudden it starts rattling and it takes off when the turbos kick in. This thing always has the same power, a lot of torque. That's why they made V6 engines, a lot of torque, which four-cylinder engines do not have. I don't know, I'm kind of convinced. Maybe I'll tell them the car's falling apart and I'll buy it from him. But he's in the back seat laughing, so that won't work too well now. But I would, seriously. If he got rid of this car, I would snap this thing up in a heartbeat. My wife would love it. Partly because she likes silver cars. The one thing she doesn't like about her Lexus, she doesn't like the color. It's golden. She doesn't like the color. So there you have it. Oh, you thought you couldn't afford a Lexus. Hey, you couldn't afford not to buy this car. 10 grand, 40,000 miles, runs like a top, looks like a charm. Hey, they're made in Japan. They're not those stupid Turbo 4s like they have now. This is one solid car, rides like a charm, doesn't need anything done to it, which is what he's done. Nothing except change the oil a couple of times since he bought it. Right? They're amazing vehicles, fun to drive, and believe it or not, there's a lot of these around that old people can't drive anymore, sitting in a garage somewhere. And hey, if you can snap one up, find it fast and bring cash. Because once people smell those greenbacks, let me tell you, they'll take it and give you a great car. They didn't have a mechanic check it out. You could drive this thing around the block. You could tell there's nothing wrong with it, right? Sure, I found all those stupid codes, but they're meaningless. Cars like this, they don't make them like this anymore. You can find an older one like this, with low mileage on it. Hey, snap it up. Hey, maybe you're not even interested in buying a car. If you find one of these, snap it up. Then sell it to somebody else and make yourself a little profit. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.